कामैः कामैः तैः तैः हृतज्ञानाः कामैस्तैस्तैहृतज्ञानाः कामैस्तैस्तैहृतज्ञानाः प्रपद्यन्ते अन्य देवताः प्रपद्यन्ते अन्यदेवताः प्रपद्यन्ते अन्यदेवताः तं तं नियमम् आस्थाय तं तं नियममास्थाय तं तं नियममास्थाय प्रकृत्या नियताः स्वया प्रकृत्या नियता स्वया प्रकृत्या नियता स्वया कामैस्तैस्तैहृतज्ञानाः प्रपद्यन्तेऽन्यदेवताः तं तं नियममास्थाय 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 प्रकृत्या नियता स्वया. Word to word meaning. Kamaihi, by desires. Taihi, by those. Taihi, by those. Vrita, distorted. Jnanaha, knowledge. Prapadyante, surrender. Anya, other. Devataha, demigods. Tam, that. Tam, that. Niyamam, rules. Asthaya, following. Prakritya, by nature. Niyataha, controlled. Swaya, by their own. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation: The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Those whose minds are distorted by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own whims." Translation with repetition: Those whose minds are distorted by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Those who are freed from all material contaminations surrender unto the Supreme Lord and engage in His devotional service. As long as the material contamination is not completely washed off, they are by nature non-devotees. But even those who have material desires and who resort to the Supreme Lord are not so much attracted by external nature because of approaching the right goal, they soon become free from all material lust. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is recommended that whether one is free from all material desires, or is full of material desires, or desires liberation from material contamination, or is a pure devotee and has no desire for material sense gratification, he should in all cases surrender to Vasudeva and worship him. It is said in the Bhagavatam that less intelligent people who have lost their spiritual sense take shelter of demigods for immediate fulfillment of material desires. Generally, such people do not go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because they are in particular modes of nature, ignorance and passion, and therefore worship various demigods. Following the rules and regulations of worship, they are satisfied. The worshippers of demigods are motivated by small desires and do not know how to reach the supreme goal. But a devotee of the Supreme Lord is not misguided, because in Vedic literature there are recommendations for worshipping different gods for different purposes. Example, a diseased man is recommended to worship the sun. Those who are not devotees of the Lord think that for certain purposes demigods are better than the Supreme Person, Supreme Lord. But a pure devotee knows that the Supreme Lord Krishna is the master of all. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita it is said that only the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is master and all others are servants. Therefore, a pure devotee never goes to demigods for satisfaction of his material needs. He depends on the Supreme Lord, and the pure devotee is satisfied with whatever he gives. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. So we have been discussing this chapter from a few weeks. This chapter is called Knowledge of the Absolute. In this chapter, the Lord describes about himself. So it is a first-hand knowledge, as we have discussed last time. If you want to know something about a person, the best source is the person himself. So the person himself, when he describes about himself, then you get complete or perfect knowledge about that person. So in this chapter, the Lord is describing about himself very mercifully to all of us. Otherwise, there is no way that we can understand Krishna. Even the great devatas are bewildered by the Maya, the illusory energy of the Lord. Therefore, they also cannot know the Lord. So what to speak of ordinary human beings like us? Even great devatas cannot understand or realize Krishna. So the Lord is revealing himself. Therefore, this chapter is called Knowledge of the Absolute. So in the previous verse, last week we had discussed about how the Lord mentions that after many, many births, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders to Krishna. The word prapadyate, which is used in this today's shloka, is also used in the previous shloka, as we discussed last week. Prapadyate, prapatti means to surrender. Prapadyate. So the Lord is saying that after many, many births, he who is actually in knowledge, prapadyate, surrender unto me. So, with what understanding does he surrender to the Lord? Vasudeva Sarvamiti, with a perfect understanding that Krishna is the all in all. He is the cause of all causes. He is the cause of all that exists. With this perfect knowledge, one surrenders to Krishna. And Krishna says, such a person is called a Mahatma, a great soul. And such a great soul is Sudurlabha, is extremely rare, very, very rare. So, those who surrender to Krishna out of perfect knowledge about him, they are the best of all living entities. Why? Why are they called the best? Why are they called great souls? Huh? Because they surrender to the Supreme Lord. So why they are called the best?
Because generally the people who pursue demigods are following some material desire. But one who surrenders unto the Supreme God, he is above that, he is not in material desire.
So he is free from material desires. Okay. But somebody who has material desires may also surrender to Krishna. Yes, can surrender. That we have discussed. No? 4 types of people surrender to Krishna. 4 types of pious people. Even those who have material desires may surrender to Krishna. So why it is said that those who surrender to the Supreme Lord are called the best or the Mahatmas? Why? Because they are approaching the actual goal of life. The actual goal of life is to surrender to Krishna. In the Rig Veda it is said, Om Vishnoho yat paramam padam sada pashyanti surayaha diviva chakshuratatam tad vipraso vipanyavo. What is the meaning of this? Tad Vishnoho paramam padam. Vishnu, the Lord Vishnu or Krishna is paramam padam. He is the ultimate or the supreme destination of all living entities, including the Devatas. Surayaha means the liberated souls, and the Suras. Sura means the Devatas. Even the Devatas always look up to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, which are the supreme destination for everyone. So, Tad Vishnoho paramam padam sada pashyanti surayaha. Surayaha means the liberated souls. Surayaha means the Devatas. Those who are in pure knowledge, they look up to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, which are the supreme abode or the destination for all living entities. So, one who surrenders to Krishna is actually a very intelligent person. Krishna e bhaje sei bada chatura. This side. Krishna e bhaje. One who worships Krishna, bhaje means to serve. Say that person bada chatura. He is the most intelligent person. Now, in contrast to the people, the rare Mahatmas mentioned in the 19th verse, Lord Krishna is talking about the general mass of people in the material world who do the opposite. That is what is today's shloka in the verse number 20. Those who have full knowledge that Vasudeva Sarvamiti, those who are Mahatmas, those who are such rare souls, what do? They Mam Prapadyate, they surrender to Krishna. But those who are Kamais Tahistai Hrita Jnana, Jnana means knowledge. Hritaha, Apahrita means stolen away. Apaharana, Apahrita means to steal, to be stolen, to be distorted. Those whose knowledge is stolen away by Kama, by material desires. What do such people do? They also prapadyate, but they prapadyate to somebody else. They surrender to somebody else. Whom do they surrender to? They surrender to Anya Devata. They surrender to the demigods. That means, with knowledge, only one can surrender to Krishna. But if your knowledge is stolen away by Kama, you can never surrender to Krishna. That desire to surrender to Krishna will never come upon in our consciousness if we are too much deluded by satisfying our material sense desires. It's very important. Contradiction. Verse 19 and verse 20, we are talking about two kinds of people. Both are surrendering, but their consciousness is different. Therefore, their object of surrender is also different. Consciousness is different. Here in the 19th shloka, what is a consciousness? What is a consciousness? They are jnanavan. They are full of knowledge. And Vasudeva Sarvamiti, they have come to the conclusion that Krishna is the supreme absolute truth. Such people, they surrender to Krishna. Whereas those who have many desires, material desires, so they are not very intelligent, their knowledge is stolen away by kama, such people surrender to the devatas. So therefore that explains why everybody does not take up to Krishna consciousness. Answer is here. Why everybody cannot take up Krishna consciousness? Because of kama, because of various desires. That is why already in the 3rd chapter towards the end, Lord Krishna has said that the greatest enemy for a person is his kama. Dushpurena analena cha. It is like a fire which blazes forth. This kama is compared to a fire. The more you try to satisfy it, the more it gets, it burns, blazes forth. And it is this kama which is Jnana Vijnana Nashanam. It destroys one's spiritual knowledge plus realization. Both are destroyed by this kama. So, those who worship the devatas, their goal is to satisfy their own material desires. That is the purpose they worship. They surrender to the devatas. And tam niyamam asthaya, they follow particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. Prakrutya niyata svaya. Here Prakriti refers to the three modes of material nature. So according to the influence of the 3 modes of material nature, one follows his own ways of worship. When they worship and they surrender to the devatas. So generally, those who are in the mode of goodness, they take up worship of Lord Vishnu. Or in other words, only those who are in the mode of goodness can attempt to take up devotional service unto the Supreme Person, Vasudeva or Krishna or Lord Vishnu. Whereas those who are under the lower modes, the Rajoguna and Tamoguna, mode of passion and mode of ignorance, they generally, or in most of the cases, they do not or they cannot fix their mind on the Supreme Person. They cannot. Exceptions may be there, but they are really exceptions. Like for example, Gajendra. Gajendra, even though he was an animal in the lower modes, but because of his past devotional service, he was able to remember the prayers that he learned from his spiritual master in his past life, and he was able to fix his mind on the Supreme Lord by offering those prayers. But those are exceptions. Generally, those who are in the mode of ignorance and passion can never take up devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Why? Bhoga Ishwarya Prasaktana Taya Pahuta Chetasa. What is the influence of this mode of passion and mode of ignorance? There's a lot of longing desires for bhoga, for material enjoyment. And they are carried away. Apahrita Chetasam, a very similar word here. Hrita Jnana, knowledge is stolen. There it is said, Apahrita Chetasam. This is the 2nd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, you see. Bhoga Ishwarya Prasaktana Taya Apahrita Chetasam. Vyavasayatmika buddhihi samadho na vidhiyate. In the minds of those who are too attached to material enjoyment and sense pleasure, material opulences, resolute determination to surrender unto the Supreme Lord does not come about. So the influence of mode of passion and ignorance is kama lobhada yaschaye tata rajastamo bhavaha kama lobhada yaschaye. Rajas and tamas, the mode of passion and mode of ignorance, they result in what? Kama and lobha. Therefore their minds are always thinking about how to satisfy my material desires. Therefore, they see that the devatas, they are very powerful personalities. They get attracted to their powers. And they see that, oh, my desires can be fulfilled by these devatas. Just like if a very illiterate person, when he goes to a bank, suppose he goes to the bank, he's illiterate. So he sees there are different kinds of people sitting in the bank, the staff. Somebody is just checking and passing. Somebody is a passing authority, he's called. Somebody is dealing with some account related fixed deposits, or somebody is dealing with deposit of checks. And away from all these people, there is one person sitting in a separate chamber. He's a general manager. He's only sitting there, maybe seeing some files and all of that. But then there is an interesting person sitting in the whole bank. Out of all the people, the most interesting person is the cashier. Why? Because he is dealing with a lot of cash, lot of money. He gives money and he takes money. So an illiterate person may think, oh, this is the most powerful person in the bank. Cashier, because he is dealing with lot of cash, lot of money, he thinks, oh, he is the most powerful person within this bank. But actually all of them, including the cashier, they are working under the branch manager's direction. The branch manager is aloof. He is in separate from all these people who are dealing with cash and checks and DDs and accounts and entries and all of that. So a materialistic, an illiterate person, he perceives that cashier is the supreme person, powerful person within the bank. In the same way, those who are spiritually uneducated, when they see the devatas are dealing with lot of power, the devatas, they have lot of power. They have been invested with lot of power to manage the affairs of the material world. The Supreme Lord is aloof from all of this, like the branch manager, he is aloof. But who are really powerful, who are seen to be very powerful? These devatas. Devatas very powerful because they do so many things. They really move things in this world. Therefore, a spiritually uneducated person, he thinks these devatas are the supreme. Just like an illiterate person perceives the cashier to be the powerful person within the bank. So therefore, okay. So therefore, Krishna is saying, Vrita Jnana, they are not very intelligent. Again, if you keep studying, you will see some more words are being used to describe the worshippers of the devatas. Alpa Medhasaha. Alpa Medhas. Medhas means intelligence. Alpa means very less or little intelligence. Men of little intelligence surrender to the devatas. But those who are really intelligent, they surrender to the Supreme Lord. So,
there are some category of people who have many desires, but still they choose to worship.
yes, that's what I told them when we were not there. Yes, that's already 4 types of people we have discussed. 4 types of people who are pious, they surrender to Krishna. The fortunate 4 we have discussed last time. So among them there is one Artharthi. Artharthi means desirer of wealth. So one who is desirer of wealth, if he is in Sattva Guna, who is Sukritinaha, such a person, instead of surrendering to the devatas, he may surrender to Krishna also. That is also fine. That is great. In fact, why to surrender to the cashier? Surrender to the bank manager. He's more powerful. So he's little intelligent. That's why it requires intelligence. To practice Krishna consciousness, you need intelligence. So, in fact, Bhagavatam says, as mentioned in the purport, Akama sarva kamova moksha kama udharadhihi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Where it is mentioned in the first paragraph of the purport, you see the last sentence. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is recommended that whether one is free from all material desires, that is akama. Akama means a person free from all material desires, or is full of material desires. Sarvakama. Person may have all material desires. Sarvakama. Akama sarvakamo va moksha kama. Or a person who desires liberation from material contamination. He wants moksha, liberation. Tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. You know, all kinds of people, whether you have desires or you don't have desires, you have material desires, you have spiritual desires. Bhagavatam is recommending better you surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So what happens when one surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Even though one may have material desires, if one surrenders and practices the process of Bhakti Yoga, slowly he will get cleansed, he will get purified of all his material contaminations. This is the example is Dhruva Maharaj. So Dhruva, you all know the story of Dhruva, the Prince Dhruva. He was a 5-year-old boy. His stepmother did not allow him to sit on his father's lap. So he became agitated. He said, how dare you? So therefore he went to his mother. So mother tried to console him and said, only the Supreme Lord can help you. I am helpless. Then he was determined to go see the Supreme Lord and get a position greater than his great-grandfather Brahma. Oh, my stepmother did not allow me to sit on the father who was sitting on a throne. He was the emperor of this earth only on this earth. He was the emperor of this earth. But I want a position greater than my grandfather, great-grandfather, Brahma. So Uttanapada was the father of Dhruva. Uttanapada was the emperor of this world. Dhruva was not allowed to sit on the throne of the king of this earth. That is on his father's lap, Uttanapada. Uttanapada's father is Swayambhuva Manu. Swayambhuva Manu's father is Brahma. So Brahma is the Supreme Personality within the universe. So Dhruva got a determination, I should get a position greater than Brahma. So much he was, the Kshatriya spirit, the want. So without telling his mother, overnight he left the palace, went into the forest, searching for Lord Vishnu. On the way he met Narad Muni, who guided him. And according to the guidance of Narad Muni, this Dhruva performed tapasya in Madhuvana, one of the 12 forests of Vrindavan. And within 6 months of performing severe austerities, he was able to see the Lord face to face. The Supreme Lord appeared, 400 Narayana appeared face to face. He saw the Lord. So what do you want? The Lord asked, even though the Lord knows for what purpose he performed this tapasya. So what did he reply? He said, Kachan vichinvan api divya ratnam swamin krutarthosmi varannayachi. He said, my dear Lord, I was looking for broken pieces of glass, but I have found a great jewel, divya ratnam, that is you. So I don't want any material desire. Swamin krutarthosmi, I am fully satisfied simply by seeing you and by chanting your names and by engaging in your service, fully satisfied. Varam na yache, I don't want any material benediction. So this is the benefit of approaching the Supreme Lord through a pure devotee. Even if one has material desires, doesn't matter. Simply take up Krishna consciousness, chant Hare Krishna mantra, follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, associate with Prabhupada, pure devotee, by reading his books. According to his guidance, you perform devotional service. So even if you are Sarvakama, you will become purified. You will understand, you will get the same realization like Dhruva. Oh, I was running behind some pieces of glass, I was searching, but I have found Krishna, the greatest jewel. Why should I anymore think about pieces of glass? But those who are Hrita Jnana, they will run behind pieces of glass. So the demigod worshippers are those whose minds are distorted by material desires. So they never surrender to Krishna. They will follow their own methods according to their own modes, and they surrender to the various devatas. Because for them, devatas appear to be very powerful and they can satisfy their desires. There is one nice story connected with this. Once there was a king, powerful king, and this king had a very intimate friend. This king had a very close friend. So this close friend of king, he was very closely talking with the king every day. Even though he was a common person, he had so much access to the king. He would go into the king's inner chambers, have lunch with him, talk to him jokingly, and all such things. He has become very intimate to the king. So one day, out of jokingly, out of friendship, the friend of the king, the friend spoke in a very offensive way towards the king. Something he said, very loosely he spoke. So the king got really offended by his words. Even though he was his friend, but somehow he got offended. So immediately the king ordered, the king called his soldiers and said, put him in jail. This person is an offender. Rajadrohi he is. Actually he was a very dear, intimate friend of the king. But somehow the king got angry because of his behavior. Oh, you don't take me seriously, I am king. How can you talk to me like this? And he put him in jail. And this friend also, because of that kind of a rude behavior on part of the king, the friend also forgot that he is the friend. King is my friend. He started developing ill feelings towards the king after being put in the jail. So he was put in the jail. He was put in the jail was a dark dungeon, dark place. And once in a day, some dry roti was given to him to eat. So, like this, many days passed. He was cursing his friend, the king, what kind of king he is, what kind of friend he was, all that. So after some time, he saw in the king, in the prison, the jailer king, the main jailer, the king. And as soon as the jailer came, he came for inspection, whether everything is going on nicely or not. He was seeing. So all the guards in the prison house, they all became alert. They all stood straight. They were all welcoming this jailer. So this person who was in the jail, a friend of the king, former friend of the king, he saw, oh, this jailer must be a very powerful person. Yes, everybody is respecting him. Everybody is standing, offering respects. So let me ask some way, what can I do now? So when the jailer came, he saw a new prisoner has come. He started speaking. Who are you and how did you land up here and all of that. Then he said his whole story. I was actually a friend of the king. And out of joking, I said something. The king punished me like this. He has put me in such a third-class prison. So there's no water, there's nothing, no facilities here. It's just once in a day I get some dry roti. Can you help me some way? What can I do? So the jailer, he said, okay, I pity you. You're saying you're a friend of the king. Okay, so let's do one thing. You write a letter to the electricity department head. You write in the letter saying that I am such and such and I am friend of king. Immediately they will help you. So as per, he said it's a very nice idea. So he wrote a letter. See, I am such and such, I am friend of the king. I am now in the prison. I need good lighting in my prison cell. Please help. So he wrote and the letter was sent, and immediately the very same day, the electricity department, some workers came, fixed lights, AC, everything they fixed in the prison house. So he was very happy. So then after some time, again the jailer came and asked, are you happy now? So you have light, it's no more dark place. He said, yeah, but you see, I'm sitting on the bare ground. I'm sitting and sleeping on the ground. If I have some nice cushion chairs and some beds, I can sleep nicely. Like this, he said. Okay, what is the problem? No problem. See, write one letter to the carpentry department. Say that you are a friend of the king. They will come and help you. So he wrote letter. And the very next day they came and set up very nice furniture and bed, everything, soft cushion bed. So he was very happy. So like this, one by one, every day the jailer would come and advise, and this person would write letter to various departments in the kingdom saying that I am friend of the king. So they would come and set up everything. So like this, AC came, AC, lights, water, everything that you need. So he said, now I don't want this roti, I want nice cuisine. He said, don't worry, write to the food department. So he wrote. So like this, he got some 5-star hotel food every day, all 3 times. So he was like, it was no more like a prison, it was like so he had improved from 3rd-class prison to 2nd-class to 1st-class prison, right? Now, another day, after all this, the jailer came again. Now tell me, how are you feeling? I'm feeling very nice. I'm feeling very good. I don't feel like I'm staying in a prison anymore. Thank you. You have helped me so much. So then he asked, is there anything which I can do now to improve myself, my position in the prison? He said, yeah, everything, you have reached the ultimate. There's nothing more than that. Only thing that you can do is get free from this jail. That's the best thing. Because you may have so many things, finally you're not free. You're not free. Freedom is not there. You're only restricted to that place. You have TV, you have everything you have. What is the use? But you are restricted. So tell me, what should I do now to get out of this prison house? Now that only the king can release. So why don't you write a letter to the king saying that sorry for my misbehavior and I'm so apologetic. Please release me from the prison. No, that I cannot do. I will not do that. You tell me if I have to write to some other department, I'll write. But I cannot write to the king. Because king is the cause of my miseries. He has put me in the prison house. So the jailer said, then nothing can be done. Okay, be here only. Enjoy the 1st-class prison. That is the story. So now, what is the moral of the story? Here, that friend of the king is we, each one of us. That king is the Lord. So we wanted to enjoy independent of the Lord, so we have come to this material world. And in the material world, we are simply trying to improve our situations, comforts within this material world. So the various department heads to whom the prisoner was writing letter are the various devatas. And devatas are all working under the king only, under Krishna only. And because you are connected with Krishna only, devatas are helping you also. Just like every time you used to write letter, no? I am friend of the king, I am friend of the king. Therefore they are helping. But it is not sanity to increase our material comforts within this prison house. Finally, you are in the prison now. We fail to realize that. Finally, we are in the prison. Intelligent person will think how to get out of this prison, not how to make this prison a better place. So everybody in this world, social workers and philanthropists and so many people, everybody is thinking how to make this world a better place. But that is not a very intelligent thing to do. Because the Creator Himself has told this material world is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. It's a miserable place, temporary place. No, but I want to make it sukhalayam. This is foolishness. So, Krishna consciousness means to become intelligent. I don't want to settle down in this material world. Okay, devatas can bless me. If I worship them, they can bless me and improve my conditions. If I worship Surya, I will get good health. If I worship Lord Shiva, I will get a good husband, good wife. All this is okay, nice. If I worship Goddess Saraswati, I will become very scholarly. I get some artistic abilities. It is all nice, but finally you are stuck in the prison. Finally you are stuck in the cycle of birth and death. That only the Supreme Lord can release you. So Lord Shiva says, Mukti Pradata Sarvesham Vishnu Revana Samshayah. Lord Shiva is called Mahadeva, the greatest among all the devatas. When he was asked by Goddess Parvati about liberation, so he said, I cannot give liberation. I can improve material conditions of a person within this world. As far as liberation is concerned, I cannot give. That only Lord Vishnu can. Okay. So there is another story connected with this, mentioned in the Bhagavatam also, partly, in other scriptures. There was a great sage called Sage Mrukandu. He was a very great devotee of Lord Shiva. So he and his wife, they were worshipping Lord Shiva, following so many rules and regulations. But they were unhappy because they did not have a son. Mrukandu Rishi did not have a son. So, both of them, the couple, worship Lord Shiva. Actually, when somebody desires material things, only if it is within one's karma, the devatas can grant it. As much punya as a person has accumulated, only that much they can grant. Not more than that. So Mrukandu and his wife, they worship Lord Shiva with severe austerities. Lord Shiva appeared and said, what do you want? I want a son. So Lord Shiva gave two options. Option one, very intelligent, dull-headed son, 100 years old. Which option you choose? So Mrukandu Rishi and his wife thought, what is the use of dull-headed son, 100 years? Okay, I want, even if he's Alpayushi, I want the intelligence. So Lord Shiva says, Tathastu, discipline. So he was born, the son was born, son of Mrukandu, he is called Markandeya. Murkandu's son, Markandeya. So, father and mother, they were so happy, joyful. Oh son, and after many years, we have got a son. By Lord Shiva's mercy, we have got a son. So they became very attached to the son. And day by day, the son is growing. And when the son reached about 13 years, 14 years, on one side, they are happy that the son is so learned, he is growing up. On the other side, they are reminded of the words of Lord Shiva that he will die very soon. He has about 1 or 2 years left. So one day the mother was crying intensely. The son asked, "Why are you crying?" Then mother revealed, "This is what it is. You are going to live for 1 year only." This is what Lord Shiva has said. Then Markandeya Rishi said, "I will do tapasya and please Lord Shiva and extend my lifetime. I'll get a longer life." So Markandeya Rishi did tapasya. Markandeya, 550, some 14-year-old boy was doing tapasya. So much intense tapasya he did. Finally Lord Shiva appeared. "What do you want?" "I want a Dirghayush, long life." So Lord Shiva was so pleased with his determination and tapasya. He said, "I am extending your lifetime for 7 kalpas. 7 kalpa. 1 kalpa means 12 hours of Brahma. Okay. 12 hours of Lord Brahma. And what is that 12 hours? That is explained in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Aharyat Brahmano Viduhu. 1000 Mahayugas is equal to 12 hours of Brahma. That is 1 kalpa. What is 1000 Mahayuga? One cycle of Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga is called 1 Mahayuga, or Chatur Yuga it is also called. So one cycle of Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga into 1000, that is 12 hours of Brahma. That is 1 kalpa. So it comes to 43,20,000 years multiplied by 1000. That is 12 hours of Brahma. Like that, 7 kalpas is going to live. So Lord Shiva gave this and he was so happy, very happy. And his parents also very happy. But over a period of time, everybody died, he remained. How it feels? Everybody, your friends, relatives, everybody's died. You are there and you are seeing repeated cycles of yogas going on. So many things are happening and you are the same living there. So over a period of time, this Markandeya Rishi got fed up with this material world. What is there in this material world? Same thing we are seeing. Same thing people are doing again and again. I am just witnessing. 7 kalpas means in 1 kalpa 1000 Kali Yugas will be there. 7 kalpas means 7,000. See, he saw so many thousands of Satyugas, thousands of Dwapar Yugas, thousands of this thing. Finally he said, "I want liberation from this place. I don't want to stay in this place." So again he did tapasya to please Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva appeared, "What do you want?" So now enough of 7 kalpas, please give me liberation. So Lord Shiva said, "I cannot do that. If you want, I can extend more. You will stay in the world, I can extend. But liberation, I cannot do. That you have to please Lord Vishnu." So again he took up intense devotional service, Lord Vishnu. Then Lord Vishnu appeared and gave him liberation. So there is one temple in Tamil Nadu, one of the 108 Divya Desham temples. Markandeya Mukti Sthalam is called. The place where Lord Vishnu appeared and gave liberation to Markandeya Rishi. So, what does this story tell us? Anyone? What is the lesson from the story? Huh? We'll think of liberation only when we are fed up of material. Yeah. Then?
The first one is view the material desires, material nature that covers our vision before everything is what is supposed. So our first view of contact is all with the material desire.
Yeah. So how desires condition us, no? That's why Krishna is saying those whose knowledge is distorted by karma, they don't surrender to me, but they surrender to Anya Devata. So many people after reading Bhagavad Gita, they say, oh, you worship anybody, it's the same. It's not the same. Very clearly Krishna is mentioning these two verses. So your mentality is different. The person to whom you surrender is different. The process is different. The destination is also different. It's not the same. Isn't it? So, he's already. So, worshipping the Devatas is not a very intelligent thing to do. But a Krishna conscious person, he does not disrespect the Devatas. He sees Devatas are also parts and parcels of Krishna. But he does not do the mistake of considering the Devatas to be independent lords. It's a very important thing we should keep in mind. The Devatas are all subordinate to Krishna. Ekala Ishvara Krishna are Sabha Dhritya. Dhritya means servants. Only Ishvara. Ishvara means controller. The Lord. There's only one Lord, that is Krishna. All others are His servants. So how does a Krishna conscious person worship the Devatas or glorify the Devatas or pray to the Devatas? How?
Like we glorify Lord Hanuman, because Lord Hanuman is Lord Ram, and also Lord Durga.
So we glorify them as devotees of the Supreme, not as independent lords. If you go and glorify the Devatas that you are great, you are independent, you are supreme, the Devatas will feel embarrassed. They feel very embarrassed because it's not a fact. They know it very well. All their powers are coming from the Lord only. So when you go and tell, suppose you go and tell the cashier, you are the great manager of this bank. Because of you, everything is happening so nicely in this bank. He will immediately say, if he is very prompt, he will say, no, that person. He's sitting there in the background in the chamber. He's the manager. I am not manager. I am only worker in the bank. So confusions do not exist among the Devatas about who is supreme. Confusions exist in the people in this world. That is why scriptures are there to guide us. Of course, there are various scriptures which glorify the Devatas as independent, as supreme, not as independent, as supreme. But whenever such glorification is there, we should know it is a glorification of the empowerment of the Supreme Lord in them. That is how we should perceive. Okay. So Vyasadeva has compiled so many Vedic scriptures. Why? Suppose Shiva Purana, if you read it, you see Shiva is so great, so powerful. Why it is mentioned like that? To create faith in the hearts of the people who are inclined to worship Lord Shiva, such glorification is made. That is what Krishna says here in the next shloka. I am in everyone's heart as the super soul, Paramatma. As soon as one desires to worship the demigods, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to some particular deity. So Krishna is seated in everyone's heart as Paramatma. So if as soon as somebody gets a desire to worship some Devata, Krishna, the Paramatma in the heart, will stabilize the faith of that person in that Devata. That faith also is given by Paramatma only. Okay. Then, not only the faith, you see the next verse, verse 22. Endowed with such a faith, he seeks favors of a particular demigod and obtains his desires, but in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. The fruits of the worshippers that the devatas give, that is also sanctioned by Krishna only. The supreme sanctioning authority is Krishna. Even if it is coming from any devata also, finally the supreme sanctioning authority is Krishna. The cashier gives you money. Why? He is not giving on his own. Because he is sanctioned, he is authorized by the bank manager to give. So he is giving. It's very important. So here next verse Krishna says, verse 23. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. So very clearly Krishna is mentioning the difference between worshipping Krishna and worshipping the devatas. By worshipping devatas, you get temporary benefits, meager benefits, material benefits. You cannot carry forward to the next life. Suppose you please Kubera and he makes you crorepati in this life. Once you give up this body, you cannot carry forward that even one paisa to the next life. Gone, over. With the body it goes. Therefore here it is said, Alpa Menasa. Those who worship the devatas for temporary material gains, they are called Alpa Menasa. Less intelligent, small intelligence. So, but those who worship Krishna, they go to Krishna, to the supreme abode of Vaikuntha, where there is no repeated birth and death. So there is a difference between worshipping Krishna and worshipping the devatas. Any questions? You can worship devatas. The only thing that you should pray to the devatas is, please help me become a nice devotee of Krishna. But it is not mandatory. You need not have to. Doesn't mean you have to show disrespect also. If you happen to visit on the way, let's say you visit some temple on the way, you see you're visiting Lord. Suppose now you go to Tirupati, on the way you see some Ganesha temple, Shiva temple, on the way. You can offer obeisance and say, you're such a nice devotee of the Supreme Lord. Please make me also a nice devotee. How much you can do. But you don't have to separately, it's not required, separately to plan and to do pujas for the devatas. The Bhagavatam gives example. If you're pouring water to the root, the entire tree gets nourished. You don't have to separately pour water to each and every branch and twig. Not required. You should not think, oh, all these years I was worshipping one devata very nicely. Now after understanding this philosophy, now I'm not, they are saying I should not worship. So Lord Ganesha will get angry at me. Durga will get angry at me. No, they will not. They'll be most happy for you. All these days you are approaching only cashier, now you are going to bank manager. Very nice. They'll be happy for you. Because devatas are also worshippers of the Supreme Lord. Devatas are also devotees of the Supreme Lord. Vishnu Bhakta Bhave Daivaha. Daiva means all the devatas are Vishnu Bhakta. They are all devotees of the Supreme Lord. Any other question? So, Devatas, all Devatas are not pure devotees, number one. They are not pure devotees. If they are pure devotees, they would have got liberated, no? They got to go to the spiritual world. All Devatas are not pure devotees, exception of Lord Shiva. Always. Lord Shiva is not a position, it's a person. Therefore, Lord Shiva is a pure devotee. And our present Lord Brahma is also a pure devotee. Not all Brahmas of all the universes are pure devotees. This present Brahma is a pure devotee. All Devatas are not pure devotees. Like Indra is not a pure devotee. Of course, Indra is also a position. But Indra, we have seen many times in Krishna book how Indra, we see in the scriptures, only when there is problem he will approach the Supreme Lord. It's not that always he is sitting and chanting the Lord's names. But they are all devotees because they are at least approaching the Lord when there is difficulty, and they are also conscious that Lord only has put me in this position. So that to that extent, they are devotees. But a pure devotee like Narad Muni or any Acharya, their position is much, much greater than the Devatas. Hanuman. Hanuman is a pure devotee. So, we can worship. See, when you accept a spiritual master must be a Mahabhagavata, pure devotee. If you accept somebody less than that as your guru, you can make only advancement up to that much level. You cannot make more. So if you want to make highest advancement, you have to accept the highest, purest devotee, pure devotee as your spiritual master. So you can worship definitely the Devatas as devotees, but you cannot accept them as pure Acharya. Acharya is different. Acharya is one who teaches by example and one who instructs you. In our case, Prabhupada is Acharya. You can accept Prabhupada. And also the system is to accept the current link in the Sampradaya as the Acharya. Not anybody and everybody. Oh, can I accept Narad Muni as Acharya? Yes, Narad Muni is a pure devotee. But Narad Muni is not the current link, current Acharya in the Sampradaya. Narad Muni is also one of the Acharyas. The current Acharya is Prabhupada. Any other question?
Knowledge of intelligence is greater than karma.
Knowledge of?
Knowledge of intelligence is greater than karma. But how the karma is able to control us? It is greater than if you know that knowledge. How karma is able to
No, it's not just enough knowing. Your determination also is important. Therefore, it is said, when one is trapped by material desires, it is actually a punishment for a devotee. Why? You are supposed to use your desiring ability to desire Krishna, but you are using your desiring ability to desire something else. Therefore, you get entrapped. It's like a pit, you are falling into it. Okay. Knowledge is definitely greater than desire, but you should use your free will to choose what desire I will cultivate. Whether I will choose to cultivate the desire of serving Krishna, or will I choose to cultivate the desire of enjoying materially. That is with you. The choice is with you, the free will is with you. Krishna does not interfere with it. So long we continue to desire to enjoy in this material world, it is not possible to cultivate pure bhakti. So therefore we have to purify all our desires. We cannot become desireless because we are not stone. But we can purify all desires. How? Through the process of bhakti. How? I want to eat. Okay, you offer and eat. You prepare nice variety, offer to Krishna and eat. That is purification. I want to visit so many places. Okay, visit the places where Krishna, temples, holy places you visit. So in bhakti, you are not suppressing any of your desires, but you are only, it's called dovetailing. Dovetail your desire. Means what? You have that, you do it for Krishna. Slowly you develop higher taste. Then all that will, after some time you will not feel that, once you come to the next stage of bhakti, you will not feel like I should cook because I have desire to taste. In the beginning, we think, oh, after cooking anyway, after offering to Krishna, I am only going to enjoy this. But it's still okay. This one level of bhakti is there. Instead of not offering and eating, even while cooking also sometimes you are getting desire. Oh, nicely it is being made. I will taste this after offering to Krishna. But at least that regulation is there. I will offer to Krishna. That is purification. Next, say, I keep doing that only. Slowly, then you will see, oh, I have to offer Krishna purely. I have to, for Krishna I have to cook. That will come later on, slowly. So by engaging in bhakti, sadhana bhakti, slowly you will come to the purer stage of bhakti. Then all your desires will be purified. Any other question?
Devata can also be a powerful person. So usually we approach because immediately it is connection. So usually people are entrapped with so many desires. Until their desires satiated, they won't pick up anything there. So how to engage?
That's why the Vedic scriptures, the Karma Kanda portion of the Vedic scriptures, that's why it is there. If you study the Vedic scriptures, 99.9% is filled with this kind of thing only. Oh, you have this desire, do this vrata. For one desire, some 100 vratas will be there. Vyasadeva has wantingly written so many vratas. Why? So that at least you follow some process. To satisfy your desire also, you should follow some process. And indirectly, in all the vratas, there is worship of Krishna. Indirectly, not directly. So that is how Vyasadeva tricks everybody in that way. Okay. For example, if you are doing any vrata, you have to do Achamani. Om Keshvaya Savam Narayana. So you are chanting 24 names of Lord Narayana, Lord Krishna. But that time it is done in a different mood, but still they are chanting Lord's names. So, but Bhagavatam is a different thing. So Bhagavatam, there is no cheating, there is no tricking, direct surrender to Krishna. So after many lifetimes of doing all this karma kanda rituals, a person will come to an understanding, what is this am I doing? I am doing just like, oh, I am simply writing letter to various departments and my facilities have improved, but still I am in jail only. That understanding will come slowly. It's a very long process of this. That's why those who come to Krishna consciousness are very lucky. Otherwise, many lifetimes you have to follow these rituals and karma kanda, worship various devatas, and slowly you will come to realization, what am I doing? I'm simply improving my conditions within this material world. How to get out of it? Why miseries exist? All these questions will come later on. So therefore, we are very fortunate. Direct process. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. Go back to Bhagavatam. Chant.